Welcome. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use MacroView Solution Provisioning, which we abbreviate to MVSP. The first thing I'm going to do is show you where to download the MacroView Solution Provisioning tool, which is included with MacroView DMS. So I'm going to go to our support site. support.macroview365.com. So when you are logged in to our support site, simply scroll down to MacroView Provisioner. The middle section provides the provisioning extension that is included with MacroView DMS. So here I've got the user guide, a lot of really helpful, detailed information here. I'm not going to go through it all. I'll just scroll back up to the top. So that is our user guide. Then you can move to the download MacroView DMS provisioning extension. Again, a lot of really useful information, helpful information in here. And scrolling to the bottom almost, we've got the download extension section here, and the current version is 5.2. So download from here. When you have downloaded and you are about to install it, make sure that all the Microsoft Office applications are closed. So that's Outlook, Word, Excel, etc. And also, if you are licensed for MacroView DMS Professional, make sure that you've got the DMS Explorer closed as well. When it is installed, check your programs and features on the control panel, and you will see it listed here and the version, current version being 5.2. Now to how to use the provisioning tool. So if you are licensed only for DMS standard, then you can use it in the MacroView tree in Outlook. I'm going to use my DMS Explorer instead for this particular recording. So I'm also, I'd like to just point out that in my tree structure, in my MacroView tree, I'm using hub sites to neatly group my site collections together. And when I right click on my tenant with the solution, the provisioning solution installed, you will get this colorful option provision. You will only see new site collection if you have got the appropriate security rights. So that's tenant admin rights, allowing you to create a new site collection in SharePoint. I do, so I will choose this option. And now we're faced with the dialog box, New Site Collection. The solution will be MacroView document and email management. I can choose well, the reason I'm seeing all of these options is because I'm from MacroView and I'm licensed for all these products, but this will be the one that you will choose. It's your default option there. Give your site a meaningful name, no spaces. I'm just going to call my one simply that, and I'll use the same for my URL. A tip here is to keep your site name short, no spaces, avoid any of the forbidden characters that SharePoint doesn't like. I might even just add the month and the year to this one here in case I want to do another one. And I'm also going to add it to a hub site. And I'm actually going to choose this one here instead of my others. I'll choose this one here just so that they're grouped neatly together. Choosing your time zone. I've got quite a way to scroll down to get to Sydney. There we are. And choose your language. If you want to choose an administrator, simply click on the address book, the SharePoint address book icon, and choose the person that's going to be the administrator. I'm just going to leave mine blank and hit OK, and it will start to create my new site. So it's doing quite a lot of things here. The first thing that the provisioning tool is doing when creating a new site is to create all of the email and document metadata columns. It's actually creating 20 new columns, which are added to the standard 7 columns that SharePoint provides in a standard document library. The provisioning will also create 2 content types. It will create an email content type for saving emails and MacroView document for saving documents to SharePoint. So while that is running through, what I'm going to do is examine a site and a library that has not been provisioned using the MacroView provisioning tool. So I will oh, look at that. It's actually very fast. It's actually completed it. So I will continue because I don't want to lose this very helpful small dialog box prompt that comes up when the site has been created successfully. 2 options, well 3 really, can just close, but I can choose to create a new site, which I'm not going to do, but I do want this one here. I'm going to navigate to my site. So that is navigating to the hub site that I created my site in. And the next thing that I'm going to do is to create a library. So if I right click and come down to provisioning again, I can choose new library. It will automatically default the library type to MacroView documents and emails. I will just call this MacroView and give it a meaningful URL as well. Both these options here are mandatory. You can see the red asterisks, and I will choose OK, and that will create the library. Before I get to the library that I've just provisioned, I am going to look at a site and a library that is completely vanilla, has not been created by the provisioning tool. So if I look at my demo sites here, and I'm going to open up this right click, nice quick option here to open in the browser, and that takes me straight to SharePoint. So I'll just close the other tabs that I've got open here so I'm not confused. And from here, I'm going to go to Site Contents to find the MacroView library. And I'm going to choose Library Settings. And these are the 7 columns that SharePoint provides when you create a site collection and library in SharePoint, not using the provisioning tool. There are no content types, and the only view is all documents. And if I compare that to the one that I've just created, so I'm going to right click and open in the browser. I'm going to go to Site Settings first. So in Site Settings, under Site Columns, I want to point out how the MacroView provisioning tool adds a group, and it's MacroView DMF columns. When I choose this option, we will see the columns. These are the 20 additional columns that are added using the provisioning tool. And we can see all the different types that they are. There are 3 calculated columns. There is my MacroView library. And if I go to library settings, immediately we can see the difference. This is a vanilla library, has not been created using the MacroView provisioning tool, and this one has. There's a section for content types, and there are 2 content types. MacroView document, as I mentioned, for creating documents, and email for uploading emails. Then we've got all of the columns. There are a total now of 27 columns. Moving down to the views, SharePoint only provides all documents. We add the Microsoft Office views. So you've got Word, Excel, PowerPoint, emails for Outlook, and we also integrate with Adobe. So we've got the PDF documents. So that's using the provisioning tool to create a new site and library. What if you've been using SharePoint for a number of years and you now want to start using MacroView? So if I look at, I'm just going to clear this filter here. And this site has got, I'm just going to show the library actually to let you see that it hasn't been provisioned. So I've called it, it's a test site to be provisioned. If I look at this one, quickly to library settings, you can see that there are no email and document metadata columns, no content types, and only 1 view. So back to that site, and I can use the provisioning tool to add the columns. Down to provision. Oops, sorry, that's my column there. And on the site, I can add site collection components. The reason for my list being longer, again, as I explained, I am licensed for more products. I'm going to choose this one here, which is the one you will choose, and that will add the site columns, all 20. It will add the 2 content types, as you saw when I created my new one. And when you've finished, or when this has finished provisioning the site, you must remember to provision the library as well, or libraries, plural. So once that has completed, I will provision this MacroView library. And that's the 2 content types being created and done. Now I select the library, choose provision, the only option, add library components. Again, selecting, you can if you want it just to be emails, but I'm going to choose emails and documents. When that is done, I'm going to bring this back and I'll just do a refresh there on my library, and voila, there it is. So this is the one that was in the site, test site to be provisioned. I called it MacroView. There are the 2 content types, and this one so when you create a library using SharePoint, it will automatically create the document content type we add document, MacroView document and email. So what I can do here is delete that one. So I can choose to, let's go, oops, back to settings, and I can, in my, I think it's my, no, it's not my advanced settings. Do apologize for that noise. I will delete that from, I would need to do it from the site. Yes, I would do that from the site. I'll just leave that in there for now. The next thing I want to show with the provisioning tool is to add a resources library to this site. So I'm going to provision a new library. And this time I'm going to choose MacroView Resources Library. And I'm going to call it Resources. This will create a library with a lot of configuration files, a lot of template configuration files. And also what I want to point out is if I expand here, I'm just going to delete my tree nodes. And then I'm going to refresh the site that was just provisioned. To point out, this library here will show by default, but when I set my central configuration location through MacroView or file options and go to support, when I set my central configuration location to the resources library that I've just used the provisioning tool to create in this site, I will choose to apply that change, refresh the configuration data, and that's pulling the configuration files down to my store folder. And then I'm going to refresh this site and watch this disappear. Go on. So that file is in my resources library. In fact, I don't need to expand it, but it's just to let you see that it's creating these folders with configuration files. When I select my resources file, my tree nodes to hide is placing the underscore catalogs, hub sites, into this area here. Libraries to ignore. And if I scroll down, there it is. So that's how you configure libraries to ignore. Create, using the provisioning tool, create a resources library, add the library names that you want to ignore, add them to this file here, do a refresh of, just go back in again, do a refresh of the central configuration location, and that will bring down the files. So that is how to use the MacroView solution provisioning tool. And I will bring back my presentation.